There is a solemn note about human life. Not grim, mind you. Not gloomy. I do not mean that. Not frowning, but serious, solemn, grave, weighty. The word that the Latins had, gravitas, which is not bulk, but weight. And those of us who preach, I come to Calvary because I was talking with my colleague, Ernest Campbell, in the Riverside Church the other day, and he was on his way down to Princeton for the Stone Lectures where young McLean is studying. He was talking about how we preachers become unsure of our categories and how we are bamboozled and intimidated by people in other disciplines instead of standing firmly upon our own ground. And too many of us tend to preach what Robert McCracken used to call a suburban gospel. It camps at the edge of the city. It does not enter the thoroughfares where the great traffic of life is being transacted. It deals with manageable themes and inoffensive and prudential advice. But it does not cut at the heart and core of what human existence is all about. And yet we have a gospel which has measured the depths and height of our human condition. It speaks to those who are too high and reminds them that he casts the mighty from their seats. It speaks to those who are suppressed and oppressed and reminds that he lifts up those who are of low estate. It reminds those in despair that there is an authentic hope. It is a rare and rich gospel that we have. It speaks of its height as saying that the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain him. But it also speaks of a great depth, and Paul wrestles with that depth in his kenosis doctrine in the 2nd chapter of Philippians, where he deals with the great descent of the Prince of Glory from the unscaled heights of Godhead to the lowest depths of our humanity, from the unbroken praises of heaven where no dissonance breaks in upon the perfect anthems, to the low places of the curses and jeers of men. And in that kenosis doctrine, Paul speaks of him not having considered it presumptuous, not taking too much for granted to be equal with God. And he gave it up and came down to this place and took on himself the form of a servant, but below that became obedient to the cross. But that was not the bottoming out of the downward arc, but at the floor of the grave where corruption works its worst work, there the ark bottoms out. It is a rich gospel.
All right.
And in the life of our Lord, there is a solemn thread. He seems preoccupied. Well, not preoccupied, but always moving under the shadow of some high and costly work which must be done. It may be that life is built on a cruciform. There may be no other way. This school here is built on a cruciform. There is blood here. Wherever anything worthy has been lifted, there is blood somewhere. In this school, I'm sure, underneath the foundation upon which we stand and sit, there must be long sleepless nights. That bitter time of uncertainty as to what the future holds. And those times when the tide seems to run out and will never come in again, there is blood.
All right.
And in your love affairs, if they are going to be more than animal jerks, there is a cruciform. For love of all kind, even the love of man for woman, has in it sacrifice. Life is built on a cruciform. And you young people who are here out of a cruciform. Somewhere back yonder in the cities and villages and hamlets of Texas, somebody is paying a price. Life is built on a cruciform. You will never erect it upon any other basis. It will not stand upon any other foundation. That is the ground of all human existence, a cruciform. Somebody went down into the shadow of death that you might be born. Life is built on a cruciform. Without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. This, with which I deal today, is no misty, musty, all obscurantist doctrine. This is the very essence of our human undertaking. Life is built on a cruciform.
Yes, sir.
There is that solemn note of the shadow of a cruciform in our Lord's life. I do not know where it begins. Did his mother repeat to him in his Nazareth childhood that he would be for the rising and falling of many in Israel and would be spoken against? And did she tell him of that cryptic word that Simeon uttered in the temple, that a sword shall because of him pierce your own soul? Was that the origin in his childhood of this solemn note that seems to characterize his days? I do not know. But I hear it in the great I must statement. Sometimes I'm going to deal with my people on the I must statements of Jesus. I hear a solemn undertone. Know you not, he said as a child, that I must be about my Father's business? Do you catch that half undertone of some high and solemn appointment in his word? I must work the works of him that sent me. It becomes more clear in that word as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. So must.
Yes,
It is supremely clear in that trysting hour when we eavesdrop upon the ultimate plaint of his humanity in Gethsemane, where he cries out, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, And then the reply, not there, but really an antiphony to that, the cup which my Father giveth me. What bitter dregs, what foul potion, what fumes rise up. But the cup which my Father gives me. And will you, in those solemn hours of testing, look upon whatever it is that crosses your pathway in that manner, the cup which my Father giveth me. However bitter, however repulsive, however I recoil from it, the cup which my Father giveth me. However I tremble at taking it, the cup which my Father giveth me. However I tremble, however I despise what it contains, the cup which my Father giveth me. Ought not I? Go ahead. There is this solemn thread. And now he says, as the evening comes, it is finished. And with a loud shout, not mind you with a whimper, but as the old divine said, with a shout, Father, into thy hands I give my spirit. It is finished. What is finished? He seems to speak of the fulfillment, the consummation of that solemn shadow which has hung over all his years. There is that crimson thread that runs through the whole biblical revelation. It speaks of something God will do if man fails the great test of human freedom. I read that all through the scriptures, I think. The 72nd Psalm, I'm not sure it's a prophecy of Christ. I do not know. It seems to be the findings of people who are gazing at the love of God's own heart. It is finished. Far back in the Psalms, one finds almost like a miserere among the anthems of praise and glory, the word that he shall break the yoke. He shall redeem them from their deceit. I do not know whether it's a prophecy of Christ. It seems to be people reporting something out of their gazing at the heartbeat of God. And as I get older, I find little way, I know the disciplines of theology. I lecture in the Harvard Divinity School, don't you know? But as I get older, I do not know any better way than the way our fathers described whatever it was Jesus was talking about when he said, it is finished. Paul Tillich takes it up and speaks of the great tension, and that is an almost presumptuous word to speak about God, but a tension between God's holiness and God's love. But our elders said that it was a contest between God's justice and God's love. I do not know how to describe it. That what was holy in him and despised evil made demands upon him. but what was tender in him, and about which the prophet said, I have loved them with an everlasting love, made other demands upon him. I think I pick up that note in the Old Testament, and it speaks again and again of some high cost, of some great price, of some red sacrifice, of some crimson altar stairs that must be climbed in the fulfillment of that. Isaiah speaks of his breaking their yoke, and of a warrior whose garments are rolled in blood. And I read again that strange and cryptic word, who is this that cometh out of Edom with dyed garments from Bosra, treading in the winepress alone? And I read in Jeremiah of a vessel marred in the hands of the potter, and he breaks his work and puts it again in the healing fires and makes it again. And I read in Zechariah of a fountain opened in the house of David. It is finished. As if some great contingency plan, some disaster procedure in case of the collapse of the human undertaking occurs, that God has a plan. It does not seem to be a plan thought of on the spur of the moment. Paul sends his trembling thoughts out into the mysterious regions of eternity, where earthly vegetation does not grow and human life does not breathe, and uses august and mysterious words that leave a chill in us when we read them. Foreordained, predestined, from the foundation of the world. Is that the echo of the word in Revelation of a lamb slain from the foundation of the world? It is finished. Not cut off, it is finished. The great load of human sin has been lifted. It is finished. Now, I am told in the fashionable drawing rooms of Manhattan and Brooklyn Heights that the whole idea of sin is an old and threadbare and outworn notion. And it may be. I do not argue it. For who am I to argue with the savants of our society? But I know this. That old and ugly word may be outworn, but its consequences are not outworn. I speak now of broken families. It may be dead, but its consequences live on. I speak, Jesse, of young people dead on arrival from overdoses of drugs. It may be dead, but its consequences live on. I speak of suicides. I speak of ruined families. I speak of wrecked hopes. I speak of undisciplined schools. I speak of culture-enslaved churches. I speak of great unassimilated masses in our cities that are not reached by churches or bars, drinking wine out of paper bags and shooting their veins with drugs. The consequences live on. I speak of a nation torn asunder. I speak of 50,000 of our best young men dead on the battlefields of Vietnam. Its consequences are not dead. For whatever he was talking about, it is finished, had something to do with human failure. This is all around us. Failure. Parents weep through the night because children's failure. Our love affairs, the great novelists and dramatists have dealt with the matter of human failure. I read it in Shakespeare, where Lady Macbeth cannot cleanse her hands of blood. Whatever Jesus was talking about, it is finished, had something to do with that. I read it in Dostoevsky, where the brothers Karamazov destroy each other. I hear it as a background of Handel's Hallelujah chorus when he sings, "All we like sheep have gone astray." It is finished. The long journey is over. It is finished. The final stone has been laid in the edifice. It is finished. The crooked way has been straightened out. It is finished. The load has been lifted. It is finished. The old account has been settled. It is finished. The exile is restored to citizenship. It is finished. The prodigal has been found. It is finished. My sin. Oh, the glorious thought of this. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to his cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord. It is finished. I have then but a moment for that other word. Father, I turn myself over. The warrior's muscles untense. The battle's fought. He unbuckles the shield. Father, he ungirds the armor. Father, the price has been paid. Father, the debt is settled. Father, hell has lost. Father, God has won. Father, evil has shot its last bolt. Father, the last gun of hell has been fired. Father, the enemy has been outflanked. Father, the tides of destruction have been turned back. Father, I'm coming home. By the way of the grave to make it all clear, but I'm coming home. Angels, get my mansions ready. I'm coming home. Let the palm branches wave. I'm coming home. Let the glad hallelujahs ring through the celestial spheres. I'm coming home.
My Lord.
Spare me, if you will, but a moment now.
Say it, Doctor. Come on through there.
And you young people, just do not ignore it. Pile it away. All of us may, in some sense, not in those great cosmic terms, but in some sense, may reach that. Do you know, when we are young, life seems so different. It is on the upswing. There is some point in the childhood of most of us when there is nobody in our family we know or have known who is gone.
Say that, Doctor.
They're all there around the table. And preachers, you will not forget that there will always be people in your congregation for whom the mists of Jordan have begun to spray wet in their faces. And we all discover this, that this life, do not let it cast a frown over you young people. Live it zestfully. But this life is, after a while, a diminishing business. Time scores its marks in our countenances. It plows lines in our faces and in our souls. It defaces us and reduces us and disgraces us with disease and sickness. It reduces us. It diminishes our humanity. It takes away the bright beauty of our youth, and it leaves us worn and wrinkled. And sometimes, in the still watches of the night, we think of and long for vanished hands that are still forever. And we think of footfalls that we will never again hear in this life. Oh, cries the poet, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still. But we may come to the place where we can say it is finished. But that way must come by the I must way. I must do my task today. I must teach this class. I must plead this case. I must minister to this patient. I must be faithful from day to day. I must go when sometimes I do not feel like going. I must keep on in good report and evil report. I must, when people understand me and when they do not understand me, I must. When my way is bright and when it is dark, I must. Sometimes on the mountain where the sun shines so bright, and sometimes in the valley, in the darkest of night, I must. And by that way, to say at last, when our hands fall limp from whatever it is he has given us to do, to be able to say it is finished. Oh, praise God, not cut off, it is finished. The work has been around it. The task has been completed. It is finished. And then to go on gladly. Father, I'm coming home. Put a light in the window. I am coming home. Let some old dear faces stand in the doorway so I won't feel too strange. I'm coming home. It is finished. Don't sing.